discussing Joe Biden here on the show. I know that you had a little bit of pushback for him.
Yeah, well, two things, right? First of all, I'm going to start by saying uh, the blog that I did yesterday was a simple blog. A guy asked him, "Hey, are you guys going to stop the policies that Donald Trump had involved, meaning the tariffs and all that sort of thing?" And he went to the mic and he said, "I've been here 120 days, really 144, but that's close enough for government work. I'm here 120 days. Give me time." Normally, when a moderate says something like that, "Give me more time," generally means it ain't gonna happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think for now, Biden has earned some brownie points given the American Rescue Plan and how powerful it is. I was reading something last night that said the American Rescue Plan is starting to look like genius because it was so big. Even if he doesn't get the things that he want to get, all the things that you want to get in the new bills, the American Jobs Plan. Wow, we had a very good start, and he kind of gave some bona fides to the progressive side. Now, I am the type that says we're going to have to continue to pressure on very hard because the squeaky wheels get the grease. But as far as giving him a few weeks, I say progressive base. Let's give him not a few months. Let's give him a few weeks.
A few weeks. I mean, you're being generous because I'll say this, since they've been in office, it's been every time we say, they gave us a date when they first got on, right? They said this amount of time, this amount of time.
Yes.
And, so they gave us that expectation, right? So then when we held them accountable, it was like, hey, don't forget, I just walked in here, okay? And then they're like, okay, give me a few more weeks. And we give them a few more weeks. And it's like every time we say we're going to give a few more weeks, what happens? They say, give me a few more weeks. Like, hey, I'm new. I'm brand new.
Look,
I just walked into the White House. I just took the seat. Cut me some slack here,
Rebecca, first of all, let me just say, you're right. You should not, I can say as, this guy that tries to put all these things together, let's give him a few more weeks. Yeah. But I'm not going to come on the Benjamin Dixon and Rebecca Azar show and say, hey, you guys stop talking about forcing his hand. You have to keep forcing his hands no matter what. I'm speaking now from the analytical portion saying, okay, so far with the American Rescue Plan, you know what? That was bigger and better than I thought we could have ever gotten from him. But we, those of us that are progressives, no, we're not supposed to stop telling him, okay, keep doing it. And then there's one other thing about it, right? I think he wants to do it. If you listen to what Bernie said last night, he really wants to do it, but we have a problem. We have a problem called Manchin, and we have a problem called cinema. Now, there was a time that I had a fear that Manchin would jump ship if we were too hard on him, right? I no longer have that fear because a friend of mine said, Egberto, you are completely wrong. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, look, if Manchin switches party, he gets a primary inside of the Republican Party, and he knows for sure that he loses because it's still Trump's party, and Manchin voted twice to impeach Trump. So when I kind of went back, I'm like, I think this guy is right. Manchin probably does not have a chance in the Republican Party. Of course, the possibility is Trump could throw the wrench in and say, okay, I support Manchin if he switches party. That is a concern.
That is a possibility. No, I didn't think about that.
Hold on, Ben. Just to let you know, Egberto, you are very right, though. We have to, as progressives, continue to hold them accountable. Because if it ain't us, then who, right?
Exactly.
But I just want them to know, too. Realize, you guys, you're taking advantage of us and everything that's going on. Nobody asked you to come in with a date, right? Nobody asked you to come in with the plans that you came in with, Joe Biden. There are a lot of things that you put on the map and everybody was so excited about. Internationally too. I mean, people in Haiti were excited to have Joe Biden here because of the things that he said he was going to do for the country. And then, even they were holding him accountable, but us right here in America were like, hey, you said this and you said this and you gave us this time frame. Now you want us to forget about this and stick to whatever plan that you're going to come up with tomorrow, which you're going to change again, give yourself more padding time. But yes, we got to keep holding them accountable, because the more that we do speak against them, it's not like how we used to do politics back in the days where it was like, it was forbidden to speak against your president or your leader. Now it's like, oh no, Joe Biden didn't do what he said he was going to do. And this is what he said he was going to do. And this is where he's turning back his words, and we're calling him out. And now people are being more educated, and now they're holding him accountable. So you're 100% right. Ben, what were you going to get in there on?
Oh, I don't even remember what I was going to say. I was listening to you.
Yeah.
No, carry on.
But
carry on.
But Rebecca, there's one thing that I'm happy about, that I am starting to see no let up. And with all the voter suppression that we're having here in Texas, Georgia, North Dakota, and these other places, I tell you what I'm starting to see from some of the feelers that I get, and that is, we want to fight voter suppression, but you know what is the thing? You remember with a kid, you told them not to put your hands on something, and because you told them not to put your hands on something, that's what they want to do, right? And I think these guys overplayed their hands, and I think right now that we are going to see 2018 is going to look like a joke compared to what we're going to see for 2022. And what I think progressives have to do is make sure to get our candidates in, because we need to make sure that Joe Manchin and Sinema are not the people that we have to the lowest common denominator, which is Republican policy. We need to have people who are going to be there pushing our policies, and there are a lot of those out there now, a lot of them out there. And I think as long as we start supporting those and bringing those in, we're going to be okay. We're not going to be okay maybe by 2022, but we're going to be okay if we step up and do what we need to do.
Ben?
Nah, that's it. That's that on that.
Well, speaking of Joe Manchin, though, we have AOC who recently spoke out, slamming the filibuster, right? And she was calling out Joe Manchin and speaking directly to him, and being somebody in the Democratic Party. I mean, like what we were just talking about, it's going to be up to us to call out these people, especially when you're sharing the space with these people, and you have the opportunity to speak against them and not be afraid. And this is what AOC recently did. Let's take a look.
Well, no, Democrats have 3 votes to spare in the House. So if the White House comes to you, if Democratic leaders come to you and say, this is the best you're going to get right now, would you and fellow progressives still say no to this?
Well, I think the thing is that this isn't the best that we can get. And I do think that we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Senate Democrats, which are blocking crucial items in a Democratic agenda for reasons that I don't think hold a lot of water. And for folks saying, okay, where are you going to get these 50 votes? I think we really need to start asking some of these Democratic senators where they plan on getting 60 votes. These 10 Republican senators, that there's a theory that we're going to get support for that out there. I think is a claim that doesn't really hold water, particularly when we can't even get 10 senators to support a January 6th commission.
Yeah, no, I hear you
so
generally
I think that the argument that we...
But on this particular bill, they have 5. And, my understanding is that it is possible, if everything comes together, they could get 10. So just on infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think then the question that we have to make is that there's a fork in the road, which is, do we settle for much less and an infrastructure package that has been largely designed by Republicans in order to get 60 votes? Or can we really transform this country, create millions of union jobs, revamp our power grid, get people's bridges fixed and schools rebuilt with 51 or 50 Democratic votes? And I think the argument that we need to make here is that it's worth going it alone if we can do more for working people in this country. With 50 votes, we have the potential to lower the age of Medicare eligibility so that more people can be covered and guaranteed to their right to health care, as opposed to, 60 votes where we do very, very little. And the scope of that is defined by a Republican minority that has not been elected to lead.
So
I think that's very important, what she said, right? It's like she said, let's go in alone. We don't want to add on the people like the Joe Manchins and the Kirsten Sinemas and everyone else who is following them, who claim to be in the Democratic Party and for the people. We don't want to add them on anymore, because when we do, it's problematic. They're the ones that hold the party back from doing what needs to be done for people, right? From getting the people what they need, whether that's Medicare for all or any other, ideas and, things that they want to put in place that benefit people instead of bring us more apart. And that is what the Kirsten Sinemas and the Joe Manchins are put in place to do, because they say they represent something that's supposed to represent what AOC represents, right? Yet they have these ideals and these ways that benefit the Republican Party. So what she's saying to me is really on point. What's your take on it, Egberto?
Rebecca, let me tell you what I am very concerned about. Narrative. We have all the numbers in favor of progressives right now. If you do all the polls for the voting, the S1 bill, the voting bill, 70% support, including inside of West Virginia. If we take a look at Medicare for all, 65% support. If we take a look at family leave, all these things have true bipartisan support, right? Mm-hmm. So the one part of when I saw AOC and I was watching her on CNN, I was in the screen pulling strings saying, please say this, please say this, please say this. Please say that most Americans support what we want. Please say that what these guys are, that it's not bipartisan to go with what Republicans want in Congress now. That is anti-bipartisan. What the Republicans are asking for, what the Democrats are asking for, is what the people are asking for, including their constituents. And we are not saying that. We are just saying we're trying to be bipartisan. We are not trying to be bipartisan. We're trying to be bi-Republican.
Come on, man. That's good.
A word,
that's
Egberto.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking about even the way they're framing it, fighting back is poor. They're really good at which begs a question. Are they doing this on purpose?
Oh my God, Ben, why did you say that? Because I actually said that when we talk about the establishment, many times we talk about the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans. There's no establishment Democrats and their establishment Republicans. There is the left, there's the establishment, and then there's the right.
Yeah.
That is what we have in this country, and they protect each other. In other words, the establishment Democrats protect the establishment Republicans. And what we have to start doing is pointing that out, because we have to peel, in my opinion, we have to peel off the marginal establishment Democrats onto our side and the marginal Republican. And believe it, there is the numbers say there is a coalition to be had between even some not in the establishment, but on the right of the establishment for some of the policies that we actually support and want.
So it's not as though some of the people who are on the left have the wrong diagnosis. It is one party.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But the solutions that they're offering aren't really the solutions to fixing this. Like, let's just, forcing the vote would not fix the problem that we have right now. That is not only a barrier to 15 an hour, it's a barrier to Medicare for all. It's a barrier to voting rights. So what is the strategy? How do we actually get something done, Egberto?
Well, I think what happens is that the play has always been the left will come along, and for the people on the right will come along. I think we're going to have to feel some short-term pain. I think we got enough policy to get some of us over the hump. I was on a program and I told the person, I don't remember exactly which one, and I said, there are people that are doing so bad. The reason why they don't vote is because they say, whenever we vote, yes, we support that bulk of the people in the middle, but in reality, things are always bad for us. So whether it's the left or the right in control, it doesn't matter. So I think in the short term, we may need to feel some pain. In other words, say, no, we're simply not going to go for it. And then enough of us, like your program, and look, we're not going to get the mainstream media. But guess what we have? We have your show. We have many others like that. I think in the long run, we're going to have to establish a cohesive coalition that puts out a message so that if you're listening to the Benjamin Dixon show, if you're listening to Politics Done Right, if you're listening to TYT, if you're listening to all these other platforms, you're hearing the same, you're hearing the same message. And that message being 2022 will determine the future of this country, because finally we're going to have people who are representative of the policies we want. I mean, we're not going to put it in a corny way that I said it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rebecca and you can do a much better job.
What you're saying is right on point.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be padded. It doesn't need to be extra, but that is a point that people need to understand, that 2022 is just tomorrow.
Right.
And we need to really realize and hone in on who is going to take these seats. Like, it's a very important time for us to really look at who our leaders are and who we can get out of here and who we can replace them with.
Can I say one thing? Because and I think this is important, right? If Biden, if we run away from making a deal because we said it's just not good enough, the mainstream media is going to spin it as a loss, and that for some reason then Republicans who wanted less should take over. I think that is a message we have to be prepared to go ahead and go against. No, it failed because those on the right didn't want policies for people. And then we go out and tell them what policies we're providing to them that's going to help them bread and butter around that table and for jobs.
But Egberto, this is the same game we've been playing with these fools for the last, since the inception of this country.
Yes.
Right. There've always been poor white people who should have had more in common with black folks than they ever had with the rich, with their aristocracy class. Right. But they are more determined to hang on to their racism than they are having any real solidarity with black, because the policies that they don't want are policies that are going to help black people. And this is why they fight so hard against critical race theory. It's why they fight so hard against, they're going to fight doubly hard against Medicare for all. It's not just because they're against the idea of privatized healthcare, but deeply rooted in this country. They don't want to do anything for black folks here.
The thing about it is we make, there's a economist, and this is going to come over wrong to some of my black brothers and sisters, but this economist said the white is the new black. And when he said that, it raised a hell of a lot of hell, right? Because how dare you put these poor white people in this, going through the same pains that black folk has gone through. I mean, there's some issues that with the statement, but I tell you what, I treat racism as a disease, because it is. I treat it as an illness, right? And in treating it as an illness, Ben, sometimes chemotherapy works and sometimes chemotherapy doesn't work. Right now, the capitalism has hit so far the fan. If you talk to guys like Richard Wolff and these guys, you see that it is so dysfunctional now that, look, you can be the biggest racist on the planet, but if you're starving and things continue to get worse, you're in the foxhole with a brother, guess what happens? So I am, like I tell people, I'm not trying, like I live in a very red area. I'm not trying to get people, and there are quite a few racists as well. I'm not trying to get you to love me. I'm just trying to get you to vote for your interests. But see that in voting for your interests, somehow you ain't doing me a favor. You're doing you a favor. So, I mean, we have to try different techniques, right? And all of us don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I've been trying all kind of techniques and seeing what actually works with some. You see my show, I get a whole lot of conservatives that come on and fight to the T. But every now and then you have that breakthrough, and if you break through to one, that one is going to break through to a few others, and we don't need them all. That's the thing.